creative friends, my name is Joey Balestrieri. Welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, this might look a little bit different to you. I got a new beading mat and I also got a new camera. I was having issues with the other one. Again, if you've been watching and following my channel, you probably saw a recent video where I was forced to do a voiceover because I sent my work over to the computer to edit and there was no sound. And you know, my YouTube and my jewelry is my passion project, so I had to get a new camera. So let me know in the comments if this is looking good to you guys, because I'm hoping that, you know, the quality will be a little bit better. And today I am having so much fun. I am working with the Deluxe Czech bundle from didi'sbeads. I did an unboxing and some really unique earrings in that video. I can link it below if you did not see it. And I am back today with a bracelet and a necklace project. I'll put them both in this video. They are both super easy and fun. And the really amazing thing is the Czech bundle that Stella from didi'sbeads puts together is really a sampler. It is really not a curated like bead box, but I have been able to do all these projects without even taking any beads from my stash. Literally, the only bead that I added into both of these projects is this little hematite tiny little spacer disc, and that was left over from Didi's Deluxe bead box a few months ago, because when Stella does these things, she's really generous with the quantity. So I have put this little spacer bead in so many projects and I still have some left. So that's the really cool thing, is with Czech glass beads, there's so many unique shapes and colors and sizes and even motifs that you can just really, it really sparks creativity. So I've already worked out my little pattern here on my bracelet. In that Czech bundle was this stunning little turtle bead with a gold wash, and I just love him. And also these cool, like, crinkly oblong beads. They have a two-tone, like an amber and sort of a dark teal in there. And there were flowers in this bundle. And one of my favorite all-time beads is this gorgeous, like, teal. It's a flower bead, but in the shape of a brick and also with the gold wash. So I sort of pulled from everything, the little tiny spacers that were in the box, and created a color story of different greens, turquoises, and a little splash of pink. And I am loving it. And all that's left to do is finish making the charms. I've already done two, and I did them with a gold ball head pin, and then I did one with the Soft Flex 49 strand stringing material that I'm making the bracelet out of. So just to kind of mix up my textures. So what you see that is strung here is one of my favorite bead stringing wires. It's the Copper Color Metallics 49 strand all-purpose beading wire from Soft Flex. I absolutely love it. This this stringing material has so many beautiful colors that it comes in, but it's also just really like fluid and malleable, and you don't get like stiff, you know, hard pieces. You get pieces that flow around the body when you make them. So what we can do is go ahead and crimp this together. I'm going to be using my magical crimping plier, but if you don't have this tool or you don't have success with it, you can definitely use a regular fold over crimp for pretty much any bracelet. These crimping methods are interchangeable. And on the first side, it's super easy. You don't have to worry about spacing or anything. You just put your crimp tube on. And I have a little clasp out here, and I have already coated all of my clasps with my Permalac clear protective coating so that it is anti-tarnish. So these are brass and they have a gold plating, but plating, you know, doesn't last. So I always do that. And on the necklace project, I'm going to be using a clasp that's pave magnetic, and I'll show you how easy it is to brush this on. But I have this little clasp, so I'm going to thread that right on to my bead stringing wire. Well, the jump ring is there. As I said, I closed it really well and coated the jump ring and the whole thing. And then I'm just going to make a loop here and go back down through the crimp tube. Now, I generally like to feed my my wire through the first couple of beads, but I wanted this little pink cube bead to be on the end of this bracelet, so it's not possible on this particular piece. I just think it looks nicer if you can, you know, trim the excess wire down away from the clasp, but sometimes it's not possible, and today is one of those days. So I'm just going to get that loop to be pretty small, so it looks like that, and just center that crimp tube in the tool and close it. And now when I take that away, the tool has pinched all the 4 corners, so the tube now looks a little bit like a ravioli. And then I'm just going to turn it sideways and fit it back in. Just take your time with this. If you're still, there's a little learning curve with this tool, and so before I chomp down, I just want to make sure that I have it in there sideways and centered, like in the, you can feel when it's not. That feels pretty good. Now you close it in that direction and then just open and close, making sure that it's already kind of a bead, but you want to go around a few times, just making sure that the tube, which is now a bead, stays right in the center of the tool. And when you take it away, you just have this really beautiful little gold bead. And for a design like this, where, you know, I'm ending with a small bead, it's really nice. And then I'm just going to trim that away. So this side is done, and now let's go ahead before we crimp this side and make the charms. I've already stacked some beads on this little ball head pin, and what I did is I took 2 of the flowers and created a little pink flower pattern in the bracelet. So I'm just repeating these same elements in my charm. I also took some of those little cute beads and the little spacers and made another one, and then this one is going to be done on a scrap of the soft flex wire. But I love my one-step looper for things like this. It's super fast and it saves my hand from the pain of all the twisting from making simple loops. So I'm just going to put that head pin through the guide hole on the tool and underneath the little mandrel that's right there. And I just want to make sure that there's a little tiny bit of space between the bead and the front jaw of the plier, because the tool cuts right here and makes the loop, and it will push a little bit here. So just go slowly, and you can see it makes that cut, and keep my wire in there. Somehow this little head pin got twisted, so just keep the wire in there, and I'm just going to bend it down. So now I'm centering that loop, and I can tell that my head pin went into the tool a little sideways on this one. So on this one I will have to close the loop, but that's fine. You can work harden it a little bit. So that little component is done, and now we'll do this one together. I just have a little scrap of that soft flex wire, and I'm going to take one of the little leaves that were in the box. Like I said, isn't it amazing? I didn't have to go into my stash for anything. Like the leaves, the turtle, the flowers, all the little accent colors, you can just pull them together into designs, even though it's just a Czech glass sampler. It's really amazing. Okay, I'm going to copy this one here. So I was able to fit 2 strands through these tiny little square spacers. There's not a lot of room left, but they do go. And I'm just going to pull it down to the leaf bead. Make sure that leaf bead is centered. Like that. Get my pliers to help me a little bit. I want it to be tight. Okay, and then both strands or both ends of the wire going through this little gold spacer, and then the little green cute. These are, I want to say they're squares, but they do also kind of look like diamonds when you turn it that way. These are the most amazing little Czech glass beads. They are small, but I cannot get over how like powerful they are in a stringing just the cool shape. And they have some of them in this little mix had a Picasso finish on them. I mean, look at that. It's so gorgeous. Okay, and I have another little crimp tube in here. Let's see, where did it go? There it is. And I am using the Softflex Company's crimp tubes as well. These are gold filled. Let me show you. They come in a package like this, and that is the secret to the magical crimping plier, is a really good high quality crimp tube. Because if you have one that's cheap, that has thin walls, like, I don't know if you can see, but the walls are really thick on this crimp tube. So if you've tried this tool and you're not having success with it, it could be that you don't have a good quality crimp tube. So I'm just going to thread that down, and then I'm going to make a loop with one of those wires and let this other one hang out, because that's going to get cut away. And this is going to be my charm, which I thought was kind of cool to use the bead stringing material for a couple of the charms, and then head pins for a couple, just to add texture and dimension. And I'm going to make a really tiny, tiny loop because it's a little charm. Okay, and now same thing. Bring the tool in and do the exact same thing. Just close it, turn it sideways, close it again, and then just go around and around. So the magical crimping plier makes a very, very tiny little crimp, you know, a bead. And like for a charm, it's absolutely perfect. But if you ever have it on the end of a design like this and it looks too small to you, you can put a crimp cover right on top of it. So now I'm just going to trim away the wire that was hanging out and the other one. And by the way, I also got new cutters. Aside with from a new mat and a new camera, I also got new cutters, and they were such a great value. If you are like me and you procrastinate on buying new cutters, I can link those below, because it was a 2-pack and I couldn't get over the price, and they really they're really good. Look how great they close. The flush, you know, flush cutter, really you need to not see any space there, and they're really great for the price. So I'll put a link in the description box for any of you who are past due for new cutters like I was. Okay, those little charms are ready, and I have my toggle here, and I have my jump ring and my last crimp tube, and we can finish up this bracelet. It is exactly the same thing that we did on the other side, just the crimp tube. As I said, I've already added the jump ring to the T-bar of the toggle and coated it. So I'm just going to thread that wire through there and loop it back through the crimp tube and repeat, repeat, repeat. Okay, and before I crimp a piece, you see how it's a little bit rigid? I want to make sure, of course, that I don't have any strange gaps in my stringing, but I don't want a rigid bracelet. So I'm going to pull this tube out just a little bit. I just want to have, you need a little bit of space, especially when you're using long beads or cube beads like this. They do tend to need a little bit more space in a line bracelet. That's so much better. I want my bracelet to be fluid. I'm crazy about this little turtle. And for me, as I was stringing this, I was thinking, there's a turtle in my garden. It's the turtle in my garden bracelet. He's like walking through the flowers, and even this kind of contemporary flower brick bead, and then some flower charms and leaf charms. And I just thought it was like poetry. It's like there's a turtle in my garden. That's how my brain works when I'm making jewelry. So pretty. Okay, I'm much happier with the spacing now. It's not rigid. And I'm going to repeat the same thing on this end with the magical crimper. And now I am going to add this last little group of charms. I have a gold-filled jump ring here, and this is an Amazon find. I really like these, and then I don't have to worry about the tarnish. And I'm going to thread all of these little dangles, or floofies, as one of our community members calls them, right onto a single jump ring. And then my trick for attaching charms, if you can see, I'll show you, let me connect this one, but I don't put my jump ring through another jump ring or a loop on the finding. I like to encompass the whole stringing material, so that jump ring is going all the way around my stringing material, and I'm going to close it really well, and then I'll show you why I do that. So no matter which way I connect this bracelet, these charms will never get stuck, or they won't be going in the wrong direction. They're so fluid, they just dangle so beautifully. And my little turtle in the garden bracelet is complete, and I absolutely love it. I love this little color palette. For me, this is beautiful summer colors, but I would wear this year round. And I love the little charms, and there's so many different shapes. And again, I pulled nothing from my stash. This entire design came from that Deluxe Czech bundle, except for these little gold spacers, and my findings. So if you can ever get your hands on one of didi'sbeads Deluxe Czech bundles, they are so much fun to work with, and they really spark creativity. And you can create a lot more than you would think you could from a sampler. They are just wonderful. So I'm going to set this aside and show you this really unique, really easy, fun idea that I had for a necklace. Let me put my little turtle here. I think I'm going to call him Herman. Don't ask me why. Okay, for the necklace, I have everything laid out here. This is the clasp that I'm going to be using, and I'm just going to grab a little dish here and show you how easy it is to coat things with the Permalac. I will use my pliers. This is a magnetic clasp, so it's going to hang on to the pliers. And this is actually easier than polishing your nails, because you don't even have to be as precise as polishing your nails. I'm just going to give it a really good coat. I bought these pave clasps at a bead show, and I put one in a necklace without doing this, and it was tarnished in a month, and I had to throw it away and get another one. So I just take a minute to do this, and I'm doing this before I start working on the necklace, because this dries super fast, and by the time I'm ready to attach this, it will be dry and ready. So you can just take a second and do this first. Just get the little brush inside. And the amazing thing about the Permalac is you can brush it over crystals and it doesn't cloud them. I always find that amazing. I was trying to be so careful when I first started using this. And I have used other products. There's an Eterna something, I forget. I ordered it from Amazon, and it is not anywhere near as good as the Permalac, and it takes forever to dry, and this dries super quick. So I am just going to might not be able to do that because of the magnets. Just let it there. Just let it sit over here to the side and dry. Okay. So this is a really, really fun design. I'll kind of show you. This little piece here, this little arc, is a scrap of memory wire, and I've been playing with the beads and some head pins. So let me lay this off. Herman, you're going to have to sit over here. I have work to do. And what I'm going to do is take, whoops, not the magical crimping plier, a snub nose plier, and I am just going to turn a loop on one side of this little piece of memory wire. And I was making bracelets. I was making these bracelets, and I had cut my coils, and I had a few of these left. So all I did is look at the one that I liked the shape, and honestly, I even thought about doing this as a multi-layer. But I'm going to start with just this little scrap, and I'm going to line everything up, and I want to use the small mandrel on my snub nose plier. If you are new to memory wire, this is a stainless steel cable and it holds its shape, but it's also really tough. It will ruin your cutters. You have to have special cutters for this stainless steel. And I actually don't like to even stress my regular round nose pliers because it's so tough. So that's what these memory wire snub nose pliers are for. So I'm just going to get a loop in here. You can turn it, but it's, you know, it's a little bit tough. And once you get your loop in there, it's even difficult to change direction because it is stainless steel cable. It's really, really strong. I want it to be like flat to that loop to be flat. And it really needs to be closed well because I'm going to add a jump ring and chain right here. So I need to make sure that that end is touching. And if you have to do any adjustment, it's best to do it like now when you don't have beads on it. So that's what I have. And now I'm going to just start with a little pattern. Not totally happy with the way that's closed. There we go. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is prepare these little flowers the way that I did this one. What I am using are some 1.5 inch head pins. They are 21 gauge stainless steel, and these came from the Beadbox Bargains website. It's the sister website to Bargain Beadbox for those of you who are not familiar. And if you subscribe to the monthly Bargain Beadbox, which is amazing, you can shop the website for all kinds of findings, head pins and beads and chain, and it's just like, it's the most amazing website. You can shop the whole website for 30% off every order. You get a coupon code in your monthly subscription box and you can use it over and over again. So a lot of my findings, a lot of my chain, a lot of the things that I use come from that because it's like getting wholesale pricing. So that's where these little ball head pins came from. And as you can see here, I've just taken one and threaded one of the flowers on from the Deluxe Czech bundle. And now on the first one, this is going to be the center of my design. So I left it the full 1.5 inch length. And on the other two, if you can see, I have taken a Sharpie marker and just made a little mark. I just keep a little Sharpie marker on the side of my work table. And I just lined these two up and just made sure that the mark matched. And so now I'm also going to kind of repeat this little design where I put one of the little gold spacers that was left over from a couple months ago from Didi's Deluxe bead box, and then the little cube bead mix that was in this Czech bundle, and that is all I did. And now I'm going to come back with my one-step looper. I'm still using the 1.5 millimeter, and this time I'm going to put the wire through the tool, through the guide hole in the back, and I want the front jaw of that tool to be on that mark. And I'm going to just close it just slightly so that I can see. And the tool makes a cut right here. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Just go ahead and close it and pull that wire down. Doesn't really matter if this is straight because I'm about to make it really crooked. But I do want this to be closed really well. Okay, and now I'm just going to hold this and put some, it's counterintuitive because we spend so much of our lives as jewelry artists straightening out wire and head pins, but I'm actually going to put some just random little curves in it. When you do that, you might have to go back and close your loop. Okay, so now that one is a little bit shorter than my center, and I'm going to repeat that same thing on this one. Same pattern and same length. Okay, so my 3 flowers are prepared, and now I have done that same thing but with nothing on the ball head pins. And for this design, what I think I'm going to do is have 2 of these. Let me make a little space here. I am going to have this in the center, and I'm going to do 2 of these on either side. So 2, 4, 6, I need 8 of them. And you could do more if you wanted. You could, do 3 in between. I'm going to do 8. I'm going to prepare 8 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to string this up. And if I feel like I want to go back and add more before I turn this final loop, I will. So essentially, I have done the same thing with the head pins. Is just put the head pin in the tool. And on this one, I want the entire length of the head pin. So I'm just going to place the wire or head pin just past the back jaw of the tool. Can you see? And that's where it makes that cut. So that way they'll all be about the same size. And you can even vary the length. Like if you wanted to just do random lengths with this, you could. Now these are stainless steel, as you saw, and the one-step looper is not always happy about having to turn a loop in stainless steel. It does it, but it's a little tough for it. And so I like the one-step looper. It saves my hand when I have to sit and make a lot of loops, but you can totally do your simple loops by hand with your pliers. And this is so organic and wiggly that even if they turn out a little bit inconsistent, it will be totally unnoticeable in this design. And then I'm just going to do that same thing. Just take my pliers and just put some kinks in this head pin. And you can even hammer if you want to. Like if you don't have stainless steel head pins, if you want to put this on your bench block and flatten it a little bit, that adds even more texture and dimension. So I'm just going to make all of these, and I'll be back and we'll string up a pattern here. Okay, I've made all of my little squiggly components and I am ready to string. So what I have here is this little mix that was in the Deluxe Czech bundle, and I am thinking that I'm going to just pull out the purple ones. I'm going to just try, and let's see if I would have enough. If I did 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, there's not enough to just do the purple. So I might have to do a mix of, let me just put them all out here so I can easily pick them up. Maybe come up with a little pattern. So let me start with 2 purples. And you could really use anything for spacers here, and what I'm also going to do is determine what is the front of my necklace focal so that the open part of each one of those loops is facing the back. So from the front, it will look, kind of seamless. You could also space these out more if you want them spaced out more. I'm just kind of playing right now, but I think that looks really great. Let's see. I'm going to do another green one here. And then I'm going to switch back to purple for my longest flower drop. And do another purple on the other side of that. Look at that. Isn't that so pretty? Okay, and then 2 more of my little squiggly head pins, and I'll switch back to green here. Look how cool this necklace focal is. Oh my goodness, I love that. That is so pretty. And so you could play around with this. As I said, you could definitely add more of the little downward little squiggly spikes. You could space them out more. You could put more. You could even choose a bead that's even smaller so they're tighter together. I'm even going to let a little bit of the wire show here because it's kind of contemporary. I just love it. I think this is so cute. It's easy. It's clever. I'm just going to clean up the ones that I didn't use. Okay, and now we're just going to do the same thing on this side that we did over here. Just turn a nice neat loop. I'm right hand dominant, so I'm going to turn it this way, and I used the small bail making plier, and I just want to, like I said, this is stainless steel cable, so I'm just going to be really careful that I get this lined up, get my loop lined up. Can you see? And I'm just going to roll a loop. Try not to twist it, just roll it right back on itself. It is not easy to make adjustments to the stainless steel cable, but you can do a little bit. I want to make sure that's closed really well because I don't want my chain to slip out when I add it in. Okay, look how cute that necklace focal is. Oh my goodness, I think it's adorable. Okay, so there's another little unique situation. I have a couple of little jump rings here, and I have this really thin chain. It's just from my stash. I don't know where I got it, but it was so small. The links are so small. They look absolutely great with this piece, but the links are so small that I couldn't get any jump rings through the last link to add in the clasp. I went all the way down to 24 gauge wire in order to fit through, but a 24 gauge wire jump ring will definitely not be strong enough, especially, our clasp is ready, especially with a magnetic clasp that you have to put a little pressure on. So I had to solve that problem. So let me show you what I did. I did a tiny little wire wrapped loop out of the 24 gauge wire with one of those cube beads and just added it in to the last link on the chain, and now I have a wire wrapped loop with some strength here to add my jump ring and my clasp. So I'll just show you what I did on this end. There's the little piece, and I know the camera doesn't show you, but this is really really thin wire, and I picked out another matching cube bead, and I am just going to do a normal wire wrapped loop here, just a 90-degree bend, and round nose pliers. Doesn't need to be big, so I'm staying down on the tip of the plier, and wrap that over the top barrel. Can you see? And then I'm just going to rotate that barrel out of my way and continue to bring the wire around, and then just make sure that it's centered and that it's a nice neat loop. And then before I wrap this loop closed, I'm going to open it to give myself a little bit of space and thread that wire through the last link on the chain. Let it drop down into the loop, and then let me turn it so that I can, then I put my bent chain nose pliers back in there, close it, and now I can wrap it closed. So if you ever have a dainty chain or a situation where you can't get a ring through, a wire wrapped loop with the finer gauge wire can really solve that problem. So just do a few wraps. Want it to be really neat, and trim. Now I'm going to thread on the little cube bead to match the other side and do another loop right here and just close it. 90-degree bend, round nose pliers. Okay, so that is how function meets fashion, because honestly, look how great it looks for the end of the chain. And so now I'm just going to take a little scrap of wire and line these up and cut it in half. And I am not going to give you a measurement on this chain. I just kind of put it around my neck to see that it would lay beneath my collarbone, but I'm just doing that so that I can find the center and cut my chain right here. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing here with 2 little beads. The same thing with the 24 gauge wire so that I have a nice strong attachment. Okay, I'm just going to repeat the same exact thing on the back of the chain where I'm going to add my clasp. And now we just add a jump ring to each side of this pave magnetic clasp and add it to the little wire wrapped loop and do the same thing on the other side. And it is gorgeous, and it solved a problem, but it's also a beautiful part of the design. Your piece is beautiful front and back. As you can see, playing with the Deluxe Czech bundle and all the variety of beads that comes in it really sparks creativity for me. It is just, I get ideas that I didn't have in my head until I saw those beads, and I highly recommend it. There's so much you can do with a little variety, a little sampler of Czech glass beads. I'm so happy with the 2 projects that I did. I think they're unique and lovely and wearable and so simple. So I will put links in the description box to didi'sbeads and to the Deluxe Czech bundle. They do sell out very quickly. They are always in limited quantity, but I just wanted to give you some ideas. And so if you don't have the beads or didn't get the bundle, you can definitely go into your own stash and use some of the techniques. So I really do hope you found inspiration or learned a little idea here, picked up an idea, and I thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it, and give me a thumbs up and tap the bell notification, because I do unboxings when didi'sbeads makes these bundles available, but then I always come back with a design or 2, and like with this bundle, I did earrings, I did a necklace, I did a bracelet, and I still have a lot of beads left over. I still have about half of that little cube mix, more than half of the little square spacer bead mix. I still have leaves left and flowers left. I even have one of the flowers left because I decided to do an odd number, and so much more. I could keep going, but this will just give you some design ideas. So I hope everyone is safe and well and having fun on your beading mats, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, jewelry making friends.